Alright guys, welcome back to another one of my Forge 1.6.4 Minecraft modding tutorials, and we're going to make a block and have a block in the game, custom block that we're going to make by the end of this tutorial. So let's get this started. First thing we're going to need to do is define a variable. So I'm going to go ahead and grab some of this code over, and we're going to define a variable. So all your variables, you're going to put at the top, just below your public class. It's going to help organize your code a little bit. We're going to make it a type of public static. So this is a variable, how you define a variable here. So we're going to make it a block, and we're going to actually import a net Minecraft block. So say, for example, you accidentally imported the wrong one. Let's say you imported com jcraft Jarvis. It'll fix the error, but your code might not work. So make sure you're importing the right thing. So if you do something like this, go ahead and find the import that you accidentally imported and erase it, and then go ahead and import the correct one. So we're going to be importing block from net Minecraft block, because that is the class we're going to be using. So we're importing the block class from minecraft.net. And we're going to make a variable. So basically, we're making a variable, and it's the type of block, and we're going to call it block1. So you can call block1 whatever you want. For the sake of this video, I would recommend following along and calling it block1. It'll make things a lot easier if you just follow along with these kind of things. So I'm not going to get into how every little thing works in Java programming. You could spend 20 minutes, a half an hour just explaining what a variable is. So I'm not going to really get into explaining everything. So understand, though, we do need a variable to create something. So now that we got that out of the way, I'm actually going to move this down. We're not going to be working with this till later on. So I'm going to move this out of the way, make things a lot simpler for you guys to look at. And we're going to be working basically in here. Our variables are going to go up here, and we're going to be working in this event function class, or not class, function, I guess you can call it, over here. So now that we defined a variable, we're going to make a new class. So we're going to call block1 equals new block1, like so. Or actually, yeah, like so. So our new class is going to be called block1. So if you named your variable stone, you would say equals new stone. Make sure you capitalize this, as it's going to be an identifier for you. So we're going to create the class of block1. So go ahead and select here whatever your class is called, whatever you named it. If you're following along, great. Create class of block1 and select finish. And it created a new class for us. So if we look over my package, we got a main class, and now we have a block1 class. Few things, something might have happened here. You might have had it look like this. So make sure you write extends block in there, as well as your error might look like this. So you will have to import net Minecraft block again. And then we're going to have this error here. Well, it's not really errors, a lot of imports, basically code hinting, helping you to code. So we're going to add the constructor for this, which will set it all up. And we don't really have to worry about this. So we got a new class, it's set up, everything in here. Control S, save it on the keyboard. And we can just close this off, get rid of it. Everything's set up in there for now. Go back to your main. And we got some errors here that we got to correct. So every time we make a new block, so this is going to be calling our class, there's two things in here that it looks for. So it actually looks for an integer and the material type. So the integer is the data value. So we can name whatever number we want in here. So say for example, we named it 5. Well, the 5 is being taken by Minecraft data values. So if you typed in on the internet, Minecraft data values, you'll get a page that represents all the blocks to the data values. I'm sure a lot of you guys know what data values are what. So wool is 35, and torches are 50 or something like that. It's been a long time since I kind of played Minecraft here. I used to know them all off by heart. So we're gonna name it 3000 because 3000 isn't being taken. Don't go too high of a number, and don't go too low. So just stick with 3000. Stick with me, and everything will be working correctly. Now we're gonna give it a material. So basically, a material is not a texture. Material is it with maybe lowercase. Material dot. Maybe I gotta finish this up. Material dot. Let's go rock. Okay, it was with uppercase. I didn't have to import this. Oh, okay. Apparently, is it already imported? I might have accidentally. Okay, well, if you do need to import it there. Material dot material. So highlight it, import it. So the material dot rock it's basically inheriting. Your block is going to inherit properties from the rock. I'm not sure what properties it's all going to inherit. It's not going to inherit the texture. It's going to inherit certain properties. So we could go like dot error, and we can make it inherit certain properties from error or whatever. Select which one you want it to inherit. Play around. I'll just select cloth here, for example, and we're going to inherit some properties from cloth. So I'm going to go back over here, and actually I'm going to copy a bunch of code in here. It makes certain things a little easier, so I can go through this with you guys, so I don't have to type every little thing out. And I will comment out some of this stuff here that we don't really need just yet. Okay. Alright. So, you don't have to worry about, adding all these things in comments and stuff that I have. Go ahead, define your block, give it a number, a material type, and then we're going to set an unlocalized name. Remember, all these green things are in comments. It's commented out, it's not part of the code. So we're going to set an unlocalized name, and we're going to give it the name of block1, which is going to be the same name as our variable. So, I like to keep my variable names the same as my unlocalized name. So an unlocalized name is basically a non-human readable name. Next thing we're going to need to do is register the block with Minecraft so that it'll actually be in the game. So we can go ahead and import game registry, cpw mods fml common registry. Import that, and we should have everything for our block. So Control S, save that, and we should be able to go and get our block in the game. So let's go ahead and let's test this. Let's run, highlight it, make sure client's selected, and there's a bunch of different ways you could write this out, but this is the basic stuff that you need to create a block. Now you're not gonna have a texture yet. We're gonna have to make a texture, certain things like that, which we're gonna get into. Where's my Minecraft? I'm recording, so it's taking a little bit more. Here we go. So go to single player, create a new world. We're gonna put it into creative, and that's good. Make sure you're in creative because we're gonna need to be using cheats. Alright, so here we are in the game, and I am lagging. It's because I am recording, hopefully. Okay. So, if we look in here, our block isn't going to be in creative mode yet. We're going to get it into creative mode, but we can give ourselves the block, so /give, press tab to get your username, and then your ID. So I named the ID of 3000. You might have gave yours a different ID, so we just got our first block right there. Awesome. It's not textured, but here it is. So this is the default Minecraft texture, which we're gonna have to give it our own texture right away. So we'll close this off. That's fine. So we got our block. Once again, if your Minecraft didn't load, that's probably because you tried picking a different number here. So name it something correctly. You could have wrote this out differently. You could have put it up here like that. I'm just spacing it down below, so it's not all one line, so you guys can actually see what's going on. See this little comma here at the end? That closes Java. So if I put that up there and then put that here, that would close that line. So you might see me playing around with these and wondering what the hell I'm doing. So basically this closes the line. So let's move on to the next step here. What else? Let's put it into Creative Tab. So I'm just going to open up this, and once again we'll import this, Creative Tabs, Net Minecraft Creative Tab, import that, and set Creative Tab. I'm going to take away that, and it's going to carry on here. So it's going to read like this is all one line. So like I said, you could write it like this, for example, and comment this out like that. But just for the sake of this video, so you could see, I'm gonna leave it like this. And you could write your code like this too. You don't have to have all these in between. You could have it, like that. It'll look nice like that. But I'm giving you guys code hints and stuff in here. Hope it's not throwing you off. Okay, so now we set the creative tab, and we give it a creative tab of tab block. So we could change the tab. So if we just erase the dot, for example, and then hit dot period, it'll bring up the creative tab and all our options. So we could have the food tab. Our block will go to the food tab, for example, or the tab block tab. We are making a block, so let's have it go to the block tab. So select it, and it's going to go to tab block. Control S on the keyboard to save it, and we can run it and test it, and we'll see that in fact our block is now in the creative tab. After Minecraft loads here we go. We're in the game. Go back in there, and wherever you put your tab, it should be in there. Let's see, block. We'll scroll down, and there it is. Now, if you look at it, it's saying tile.block1.name. So that's not really a good name for it. We actually have to give it a human readable name. So that'll be the next part here that we're going to get into. The next part here, so right here, define a human readable name. So I'm just going to uncomment this, and we're going to write language registry.addName block1, which is the unreadable name from our game registry, and we're going to name it whatever we want. So you can name it whatever you want. I'm just going to call it my first block. We'll import this, import the language registry, and then our block will now be called whatever you want to call it. Some other things we could do here, we could set the harvestability of the block, for example. So we'll import this as well. So we can make it harvestable with a pickaxe. You need a pickaxe, and I believe 3 will represent a diamond. You can play around with these variables here, so you can change this to 2, for example, or 1. I'm not quite sure which number represents which, so go ahead and play with that. So you'll have to put yourself into survival, to test this line of code and see what harvest level the block needs. So this is good for now. We got everything set up. Now all we need is a texture. So save everything and let's work on a texture. So I'd recommend for you guys what you guys should do. Go on the internet, download a texture pack, any texture pack or resource pack out there, and get some textures just for the sake of these videos, so you don't have to keep on making textures, because making textures isn't really learning to code, but I will show you how to make a texture. First of all, your textures are going to go into source, main, resources, assets, my MOIG, textures, and it's going to go into blocks. So I actually have some textures in there. So let's go ahead, for the sake of this video, we'll make our own texture. Like I said, for you guys, save you guys time, go ahead and download a texture pack, so you don't have to be making a new texture every time we're making a new tutorial. So I got paint.net. Any paint program will work for this tutorial. You might have GIMP. GIMP's free. Paint.net's free. Microsoft Paint is even usable. It's a little bit harder to use, and you also have to manually save it as a PNG afterwards. So if you got Paint.net, awesome. If you don't, try to follow along. So we'll go File, New, and we could select whatever type of a multiple of 16. So you could have it 16 by 16, or you could have it 32 by 32, 256 by 256, whatever, how big you want to make it. The texture size, it's up to you. I'm not sure if there's a maximum cutoff. I'm sure there is. But yeah, so make sure your width is the same as your height, though. So press OK. If it's not, and your texture pack or your texture isn't the same, I believe you might run into problems. So I'm just going to go ahead and make it 16 by 16. This way it's less to draw, and press OK. Control plus on my keyboard to zoom in. I'm going to select a rectangle tool, wipe out all this, and you could paint it whatever you want to paint. I'm just going to fill it in with, let's go with like blue or some shit like that. Let's go with blue. So this is fine. You can get into painting yourself something. That's awesome. I'm not gonna do that, so I'm just giving you through the process here. So go save as, and I will call this block 33, just because I'm not sure what to call it, and I'll save it to my desktop. Auto detect, this is fine, and it's to my desktop. I'm gonna close this all off now. So there it is. I'm gonna put it inside to here. And with my other textures, like I said, it's in all the folders. We already created all these folders. You guys might be wondering, where is these block folders? See my last video where we set up these folders. So inside here, like I said, go grab some textures so you can play around. Don't use them in your actual mods that you're going to release. For testing purposes, that's fine. So we called it block 33. It might matter if you have a capitalization in here, so don't have a capitalization in here, don't have a space in here, stick to proper naming conventions. So we're going to call block 33, I named it. You can name yours whatever you want to name it. We're going to go back to the next part of the code, which is setting the texture. So we can actually set the texture. I'm going to actually just move this down here, or, it's whatever is fine. And we'll set the texture down here. So it'll be the last thing that we do. And we'll close it off with, I believe that's a semicolon, or a normal colon, I'm not sure. So here we are going to do the set texture name, and we're going to go my MOID. So your my MOID is whatever you named it up here. So if you named it something different, you would put that in there. That's your first identifier here. Your next identifier is the name of your actual textures. So I said I named mine block 33, so that's going to be block 33 there. So whatever you named it, you name it there. So I'm going to Control S on my keyboard to save it, and now it's going to have the texture of block 33 here. I hope you guys are following along. Let's run the client. And we are going to have the block in the game, guys. I hope you are excited as I am. And there it is. All our blocks are now blue. And we never looked at the name, but there it is. My first block is also the name. We never really checked that change, but there it is. And, like I said, put yourself in survival, play around, test the harvest ability. So, it could read all like this, for example. So just to make things easier for you guys to read all this, this is a good way to write it all out. Like so, and then have it close with this. So, and then you have your harvest ability, like the so, and then your, register your block, and then give it a name. So we did all this kind of stuff, and here's, where you change your name again. So if you wanted to make another block, very simple. We simply create another variable, and we'll go like this. And this time we'll call it block 2, like so. So we got block 1, now we're going to call block 2. And I'll just go ahead and copy and paste some code over here. I'll use this as an identifier to break up my code. I'll copy this whole line over and I'll paste it down here. And actually just get rid of this so you guys can see a little bit better. And we'll name, so block 1, we're going to change this to block 2 now, because we have a new variable for it, so it's now going to take on block 2. So block 2 equals, we'll do block 1. We don't have to generate a new class if we don't want to. You can go ahead and make a new block 2 class if you want. That's awesome if you do. If not, that's fine. We can use block 1 class and we'll give it another data value because 3000 is taken, so we'll make it 3001 as our new data value. You can change it to the material type you want. Now set unlocalized name. We'll set the unlocalized name to block 2. And I'll also give it the texture of block 2 because I have a block 2 right here set up. And I'll actually give block 1 a different texture as well. So because I have a block 1 texture and a block, so block 1 having block 1 texture, block 2 is having block 2 texture. Excuse me. And we'll change this here. Basically changing everything from block 1 to block 2. My first block is now going to be my second block. While they're changing that spelling mistake. So block 1. Now there's even another easy way to do this. If you press Control F on your keyboard, you can find everything that says block 1, for example, and have it replaced with everything that says block 2. And make it case sensitive so it doesn't replace your classes or whatever, and you could auto do everything like that. So that's a little tip there. So let's go ahead and test this out. Everything should be block 1. We're gonna use that same class. If you did not want to do that and you wanted to go like that, that's fine. Just create a new class for it, and do the same steps that you did to make that last class. This is fine. Let's test this out. Test this out. Run it. Alright, so we should have our new texture on block 1. There it is, right there. And our block 2 should also be in here. My second block right here. So we got whatever textures you used, and you got your 2 blocks. So you can now do /give again, /give tab 3001, to get more of these blocks now, because we have another data value for that as well. So I think that wraps up this tutorial, guys. You could go ahead and make 1,000 blocks, give them all new textures. Very simple. You don't even have to make a new class, like I said. Just keep on copy and pasting. Change block 2 to block 3. Change the name, and go ahead and do that. Make 4 or 5 more blocks for the next before you go into the next tutorial, maybe, or get set up. Figure that out. All right, and I'll see you in the next video.